All right, let's talk about something that's a huge challenge for anyone who's serious about their fitness, Ramadan. How in the world do you get through the month of fasting without losing all those hard-earned gains? Most people really struggle with this, and they tend to fall into one of two traps. So today, we are going to unpack a much smarter way to train that avoids those pitfalls completely.
So most of us fall into one of two camps, right? First, you've got the hero. This is the person who just tries to power through, training like nothing's changed. And what happens? They crash and burn. We're talking burnout, injury, the works, usually within a week. Then you've got the defeatist, who just throws in the towel, skips the gym for 30 days, and ends up losing a ton of strength and muscle that'll take months to get back. Let's be real, both of these approaches just don't work.
So that leads us to the big question, doesn't it? Is there a better way? A path that lets you stay fit without wrecking your body or, missing the whole point of the month? Well, the answer is a huge, resounding yes. It's just about being smart, not just strong.
And that third way, we're going to call it adapted training. See, it's not about stopping, and it's definitely not about blindly pushing through the pain. It's all about being strategic, and it's built on just a few simple core principles. Okay, the first and honestly the most important principle is all about shifting your mindset. This right here is the golden rule. During Ramadan, just maintaining your strength and muscle, that is a massive victory. You have to remember, you're dealing with less than ideal hormones, your sleep is all over the place, and your energy is limited. Chasing new personal records right now, that's just a recipe for disaster. The goal is simple. Hold on to what you've built.
So how do we actually do that? How do we hold on to that muscle? Well, it all boils down to this one key idea. Intensity, meaning the actual weight you're lifting, is so much more important than volume, which is just the total number of sets and reps you do. See, lifting heavy things sends a powerful signal to your body to keep that muscle around. Piling on a ton of volume, on the other hand, just digs a huge recovery hole that you can't climb out of when you're fasting. And here's where it gets really interesting, because we can see what this looks like in practice. Let's take a normal bench press workout, maybe 5 sets of 10, that's 50 total reps, at a pretty moderate weight. During Ramadan, you flip that whole script. You drop down to just 3 sets of 5, only 15 total reps, but you crank up the intensity to 85% of your max. See what happened? You've slashed your volume by more than 2/3, but you sent that powerful signal to your muscles to stick around. That's training smart. Now, to round out the strategy, there are just 3 more principles. First, dial about how often you train. 3 to 4 sessions a week is the absolute max, because you need that extra recovery time. Second, keep your workouts short and sweet, no more than 75 minutes. Any longer and your stress hormones just go through the roof. And finally, be efficient. Stick to the big, heavy compound lifts, squats, deadlifts, bench press. You know the drill. They give you the most bang for your buck. All right, so we've covered the what and the how, but there's still a huge piece of the puzzle left, the when. Seriously, the time you choose to train can literally make or break your entire strategy for the month. You really have 2 solid options here. The first is training after iftar. And yeah, you'll be fueled, you'll be hydrated, you'll feel pretty strong. But the big downside is that it can mess with your digestion and pushes your bedtime way too late, which wrecks your sleep. And that's why the highly recommended option is actually training just before iftar. Yes, you'll be training on an empty stomach, and your performance might take a little hit. But the payoff is huge. Your iftar meal becomes the perfect post-workout fuel, kicking recovery and muscle preservation into high gear. Okay, now this is really important. Even with the absolute perfect plan on paper, you have to be ready to adapt. Your body is going to give you feedback, and it is absolutely crucial that you listen to its alarm signals. So here are 5 red flags you cannot ignore. 1, if your strength consistently drops more than 15%, it's time to back off the volume. 2, if you're feeling totally exhausted even when you're not in the gym, you might need to take a deload week. 3, getting less than 6 hours of sleep for a few nights in a row, you have to reduce your training frequency. And finally, any new joint pain or really rapid weight loss, those are immediate signs to stop, take a step back, and figure out what's wrong. Don't be a hero, be smart. Phew, okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's put it all together. Let's boil it down into a clear, simple, actionable game plan that you can use for the entire month. Ready? Here is your 7-point game plan. Number 1, your goal is maintenance, period. Don't chase records. 2, prioritize lifting heavy, not for a long time. 3, train just 3 or 4 times a week and keep it under 75 minutes. 4, focus on those big, effective compound exercises. 5, Aim to train right before iftar if you can. 6. Swap out your intense cardio for some low-intensity walking. And number 7, the big one, always listen to what your body is telling you.
And that brings us to our final takeaway. And honestly, it might be the most important one of all. You can have the perfect diet, you can have the perfect training plan, but it is all built on one single pillar: sleep. I want you to remember this. You can get everything else right, but if you neglect your sleep, your results will be catastrophic. It is without a doubt the single most impactful and the most underestimated factor for your success during Ramadan. Something to really think about long after this is over.